Good morning. Live from New York, you're watching Market Movers, the opening bell. Well, U.S. stock futures are little changed to mixed in midweek trade. Now, strong earnings from 3M and Coca-Cola help power the Dow back above 47,000 to new record highs on Tuesday. With sky-high expectations already priced in, Wall Street has been watching this earnings season closely, and so far, corporate America has been delivering. Now, trade tensions could be in flux again. Trump saying a planned meeting next week with China's president maybe won't happen. Now, this does add to more uncertainty to the outlook for trade and semiconductors, especially ahead of the APEC summit. Trump also said 155% tariffs on China will start on November 1st. Meanwhile, Trump is proposing importing beef from Argentina to help reduce U.S. beef prices and support Argentina's struggling economy. Now, Trump emphasized that the amount of Argentine beef imported would not be large, but would help lower grocery store prices here in the U.S. Meanwhile, the U.S. is also close to a trade deal with India. This would cut tariffs on Indian imports from about 50% to 15 to 16%. Now, India is expected to gradually reduce its dependence on Russian crude oil, aligning with U.S. goals to limit Russian energy imports globally. And Meta announcing a massive $27 billion joint venture with Blue Owl Capital to help fund and develop its new Hyperion data center in rural Louisiana. Now, Meta says the partnership will speed up development and support its long-term push into AI. The two companies formed a JV to build Meta's massive Hyperion data hub in Richland Parish. Now, OpenAI has launched a new AI-powered web browser called ChatGPT Atlas. Now, this brings the capabilities of ChatGPT directly into the browsing experience. It features a dedicated Ask ChatGPT sidebar, and it also includes OpenAI's Operator AI agent. This can autonomously perform tasks like booking reservations, ordering groceries, and creating purchase lists and filling out forms online. And moving on to earnings, Netflix shares sliding after the streaming giant reported a miss on revenue and profit. Now, the company reporting EPS of $5.87 on $11.51 billion revenue. Its operating margin missed estimates primarily due to an unexpected $619 million expense related to an ongoing tax dispute with Brazilian authorities. Now, its revenue growth was driven by subscriber growth, price hikes, and increased ad income. Netflix's ad revenue continues to expand rapidly, on track to double this year compared to last year. Its fourth quarter guidance came in line with analyst expectations. And Capital One Financial beating estimates on $5.95 EPS on $15.36 billion revenue. Now, credit card purchase volume rose 39% and credit quality remained strong with a net charge-off rate lower than expected. It's also authorizing up to $16 billion in stock repurchases. And GE Vernova posting mixed earnings with an EPS miss on $9.97 billion revenue, which beat estimates. The company saw a significant 55% organic increase in orders that were driven mainly by power and electrification equipment demand. Now, its backlog grew by $6.6 billion. Meanwhile, power orders rose 50% organically, and its electrification segment showed the strongest growth. It also reaffirmed its full year 2025 guidance. And AT&T posting mixed earnings with an inline EPS, and this did come on $13.7 billion in revenue. AT&T added 405,000 monthly bill-paying wireless subscribers, which beat estimates, and this growth came mostly from by bundle service plans combining wireless and fiber broadband at discounted rates. It also heavily promoted the iPhone 17 series around Apple's annual launch. It reaffirmed consolidated revenue guidance for the full year. Now, Tesla and IBM will be reporting after the closing bell today. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the National Hockey League has entered into a multi-year license agreement with two prediction market startups, including Kalshi and Polymarket. This does make the NHL the first major U.S. professional sports league to officially license its trademarks to prediction market platforms. This is a big step for Kalshi and Polymarket as they challenge established sports betting operators like DraftKings and FanDuel. And Six Flags extended gains in pre-market trade after shares jumped by as much as 20% on Tuesday. Now, NFL star Travis Kelce joined an activist investor campaign pushing for change at the theme park operator. Kelce, along with hedge fund Jana Partners and other investors, built a 9% stake worth about $200 million. This is also according to the Wall Street Journal. The group is pressuring Six Flags to improve operations and attendance at its theme parks, which include Knott's Berry Farms, Six Flags Resorts, and Hurricane Harbor Parks. Ahead of the market open and midweek trade, we are looking at a mixed open. Dow futures are slightly below the flat line after hitting a new record yesterday. We are looking at the Nasdaq Composite pulling back by a little over 0.1%. And as for the S&P 500 for futures, they are trending slightly above flat. As for the 10-year yield this morning, we are looking at the 10-year slipping slightly. We are currently actually looking at it slightly higher at 3.97. Meanwhile, crypto majors are lower, extending recent weakness. Bitcoin is hovering below 110, and it is currently flirting with the 108,000 level. Meanwhile, ETH is slipping, and we are looking at the other crypto major this morning, right above the 38.40 level. As for precious metals, gold saw its biggest single-day decline in 12 years yesterday. The precious metal is extending losses this morning, and we are looking at it holding right above 40.40. As for oil this morning, it is higher by 1%. We are looking at it holding the $58 a barrel level. For more headlines, let's go across the trading floor to Jane King. Good morning, Jane.
Thanks, Remy. Here's a look at your Coin Street headlines. U.S. dollar-pegged stablecoin Tether hit its 500 millionth user this week, offering a means to transact and save for those who've been excluded by the traditional banking system. Tether said the figure represents 500 million real people, not just Tether wallets, suggesting that the stablecoin has now been used by about 6.25% of the world's population. The World Bank Group estimates there are 1.4 billion adults who don't have access to a bank account globally. Well, the ongoing feud between FetchAI CEO Humayun Sheikh and Ocean Protocol Foundation took another twist as the CEO issued a bounty for more information related to the alleged misappropriation of tokens worth millions of dollars. Sheikh, in an X post, offered a $250,000 reward for information on the signatories of Ocean DAO's multi-signature wallet and their connection to the Ocean Protocol Foundation. The bounty offer comes days after the CEO alleged a team wallet related to Ocean Protocol misappropriated about 286 million FetchAI tokens. Coinbase's goal of becoming a one-stop shop for crypto investors moved closer to reality this week with an acquisition, a $375 million acquisition of the blockchain fundraising platform Echo. Now, the deal allows Coinbase to facilitate both private and public token sales while helping startups raise capital, according to the Wall Street Journal. It's also the 8th deal this year for the largest U.S. crypto exchange. And former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo lags far behind Democrat frontrunner Zohran Mamdani, despite unveiling his proposal to make New York City a crypto hub. Cuomo's plan, announced over the weekend, would create a new office that would be responsible for attracting emerging tech companies, including cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And that is the latest Coin Street headlines.
Let's get to the big story breakdown. While U.S. stocks moved higher to start a busy week for earnings, the major stock averages climbing back toward record highs from earlier this month, with the Dow clearing new intraday highs above the 47,100 level. Meanwhile, volatility was back on Wall Street, but we are looking at the VIX hovering right around 18 this morning. Big tech and chip makers drove a massive rally that helped wipe out April losses and push the market to dozens of new record highs. And that uncertainty has others looking for ways to protect their portfolios in case the AI boom loses steam. Well, joining me this morning is Matt Cheslock, equity trader at Virtue Financial. Good morning, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning, Remy. How are you?
Good. Well, out of the nearly 80 companies of the S&P 500 that have reported, we have been getting in higher than expected beats. So what do you make of earnings season so far?
Well, it's funny. We're starting to get off the tariff talk. You know, we saw a little bit of that yesterday, you know, from companies like GM. And 3M, you know, we're starting to talk about, we're looking at the economy. We're not just taking tariffs and using that as an excuse. You know, GM had a huge move that took the Dow higher, that took the S&P higher. You know, we saw 3M, obviously. You know, so these names are outside the purview of the normal investor now. We seem to be not focused on AI for the second week now. Last week it was rare earths. This week it's a bit of a precious metal sell-off, but when that happens, they've got to rotate into something else. So we're starting to see some of these meme trades kick up again. You mentioned Beyond Meat a couple times. So these are what investors are focused on, and without any government supporting data, which is actually pretty nice and refreshing, that we're actually trading companies on what they're worth, you know, that's what we're seeing these massive moves on.
Yeah, I think context and perspective is key, because even though we're talking about this pullback in gold, it is still up 55% year to date, right?
Absolutely.
And we're still holding above that 4,000 level, so it's outperforming the major stock averages,
Right.
crypto as well. But you talked about the guidance that we're hearing from these companies. We saw 3M, Coca-Cola push the Dow to new record highs yesterday. So what does all of this mean in terms of the economy, especially ahead of CPI on Friday?
Well, first off, we're going to overanalyze CPI, right? Some people,
Yeah.
the skeptics, are going to say it's not all baked in. How did we come up with this number?
Yeah.
And if the number comes out okay, you know, the pundits will say that this is a great number and this is going to take us to the next level. So let's strip out CPI, because it's going to be overanalyzed both ways.
Yeah.
But if we are looking at what these companies are saying, you know, look at even Netflix. While it's down today, it's still coming in at 16, 17% revenue growth for 2026. That's pretty impressive after the run they've had. So while it may not have met expectations this quarter, they're still forecasting good things. The same thing with you know, 3M talking about weaker consumer demand, but they still took the stock higher,
Sure.
right? What does that mean? That means the economy seems to be okay and on good footing.
Yeah, and after the bell, we'll be hearing from Big Blue as well as Tesla. So what are your expectations? And when it comes to sector breakdown, what are you actually seeing?
Oh, it's so great to hear some of these old names like
Yeah.
Big Blue and 3M and GM, you know, companies that aren't meme related or AI related right now. But you know, certainly these are companies that may see some rotation of money at the end of the year as we approach end of the year reallocations of money and portfolio adjustments. It won't just be AI on your portfolio anymore. So you know, they're going to be the benefit of that, and if they have good earnings, that will further drive some of that meme trade, some of that money that is looking for a new home that may have not invested in Big Blue in a long time. They might start getting into that, and not just because of the name, but there's also dividend yields with some of these older companies.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe, but we are fast approaching month end. We have the Fed meeting coming up, and also the APEC summit. So we'll see what comes out in terms of tariffs from that gathering. But as we head into the rest of the fourth quarter, as you mentioned, usually we tend to get rallies year end. What price targets do you have for not just the S&P 500, but other sectors as well?
You know, you mentioned gold a little bit, you know, so the relative number was, you know, $250. It was down yesterday. It's down another 60. These numbers are daunting, but when it's still up above 4,000, you know, that trend line hasn't been broken. This was just maybe just a sell-off, a bit of profit taking from some of the short-term players, some of the derivative options type names. So that trend is not broken. The same thing with the S&P. We break out above 6,800, there may be another leg. So you know, certainly you've got to keep it. You've got to keep fluid with what's going on because it does turn pretty quickly. So those are some of the numbers that I would watch in gold and maybe in the S&P.
Okay, Matt, always great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for putting your perspective on what we're seeing.
All right, Remy, have a good day.
You too.
Coming up next, stay tuned for FinTech TV's exclusive coverage from day one of Hub 71's Impact event. Market movers the opening bell. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Market Movers, the opening bell. It is day 2 of Hub 71's Impact Event 2025 taking place in Abu Dhabi. Now, the event focuses on fostering innovation, sustainability, and growth by showcasing breakthrough ideas that can shape the future of business and society. Digital journalist Ornella Hernandez spoke to Timothy Ng as well as Martin Vinicia from Snap Ocean Data Solution to hear about their mission for a cleaner ocean. Take a look.
We're here with Timothy and Marco from Snap, one of the latest cohorts of Hub 71, and they're trying to preserve the world's oceans. So guys, tell me a little bit more about what's going on here today, what you're looking forward to, how it's going so far.
So what we have here is a robotic fish that collects data of coastal ecosystems. These are difficult to access regions, and we collect this data to protect nature from pollution.
Can you add anything about what you expect from this event today?
We're expecting to meet with founders and meet with potential partners. We want to take this company global and help as many coastal communities and help biodiversity all around the world.
Okay, so you've already been operating for a while in Hong Kong. You're new here to Abu Dhabi ADGM, so tell me why you came to the UAE.
So a year ago, I think with COP28, I came to Dubai and I saw the government pledged, we're going to protect nature. And 2 years later, I actually see the results of it. And then I realized that this is a place that cares about nature and the environment. And we realized that's where we want to be.
Tell me how it works specifically, like the process of what you guys are trying to do, the impact that you're trying to have.
So this is one detail is that this is the world's fastest robofish. We've won the Guinness World Record 3 times. We've beaten it. But what we're trying to do is use high tech for real world impact. So again, help communities, help biodiversity all over the world to surveil and monitor seagrass ecosystem, mangrove ecosystems, seashells, oyster beds, to help communities increase their livelihoods.
So you gather intel, you research, you monitor, and then what do you do exactly with all this research?
So I think the most important question is, how do we know what the state of the ocean currently is? And for most of these ecosystems, when it passes a critical threshold, there's no turning back. So we're using this data to create models so that we can ensure, one, we're on the right track, and two, if we're not on the right track, we talk to the people, the conservationists, the governments, we convince them with solid data so that we can take actions, because these problems are solvable. The only problem is we can't solve what we can't see, and we're bringing the data to your home screens.
All right. And so what does impacts mean to you personally as individuals, as well as part of Snap? Like what kind of impact are you guys trying to have?
I think for me, it's quite straightforward. When I studied engineering, it's to solve an environmental challenge. We have climate crisis and we have nature crisis. And to me, impact means stopping this so that future generations can enjoy the nature that I grew up with.
Okay. So what about you, Marco?
Very similar. I believe climate crisis is the defining challenge of our time. And this is my dream, is to have my little drop in the big ocean of change and have as much impact as I can in the global communities.
All right. Well, one last question, little silly question. What do you guys prefer? Coffee, karak, or matcha? How do you caffeinate yourselves?
I was once a coffee person until I had karak. Karak is amazing, and the way it's prepared, it's beautiful.
My answer would be out of the box, dark chocolate, because it actually has more caffeine than coffee. So dark chocolate it is for me.
Love that. All right. Well, thank you guys today and enjoy the rest of the event.
Welcome back to Market Movers, the opening bell. The White House is still hammering out the details on the U.S. Strategic Crypto Reserve. We know that Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Ripple, and Cardano are included. Now, Cardano is a third-gen proof-of-stake blockchain platform known for its focus on scalability, interoperability, as well as sustainability. Its market cap currently nearing $23 billion. Now, looking ahead, the Cardano Foundation is holding a summit in Berlin next month, bringing together leaders to examine blockchain's role in business systems. Well, joining me this morning is Frederick Regard, who's the CEO of the Cardano Foundation. Frederick, thank you so much for joining us. So for our viewers out there, tell us about the Cardano Foundation and also the role that it actually plays as a nonprofit in advancing Cardano.
Yeah, Cardano is basically the world's largest DAO, managing $1.2 billion with full voting capability and full voting mandate. That means that we have about 7 million inhabitants with digital identity who basically goes to the ballots and decides over this treasury, but also lives and builds businesses on the public permissionless blockchain. And the Cardano Foundation is basically a contributor to this, focusing on three things. So how do we basically measure and enable adoption for the betterment of the world? How do we ensure that this public infrastructure continues to be there for the decades to come? And how do we work with policymakers and regulators to ensure that you can continue using blockchain for the rest of our lives, basically, in the intersection of AI?
Yeah, and Frederick, I understand the countdown is on to the Cardano Summit, which is taking place in Berlin next month in November. So give us an idea of who will be there and what should we be watching out for?
Yeah, so what's truly unique about the Cardano Summit is that you're going to have a mix of very deep tech people in the intersection of AI, quantum security, and blockchain. And they're basically meeting up with Volvo, Orange, Novo Nordisk, Johnson Johnson, Crypto.com, United Nations, Boston Consulting Groups, Team Draper, for instance, will be there as well. So you basically have this intersection of what blockchain actually can be in the future when it goes beyond cryptocurrencies.
So Frederick, while we have you here, we have been seeing a pause in the crypto bull cycle. So tell us your take when it comes to institutional capital actually entering the market.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is we're actually seeing that there's been some over-leveraged positions in the market. And when they are unwinding specifically from retail exchanges, we do see some market movement. But in general, we see a very positive take, specifically around Cardano from institutional investors. And we work very closely both to ETP and ETF providers. And the general narrative is extremely positive. We also see that some are restricted in terms of direct investment into this asset class, and they work through then also digital asset treasuries and other vehicles to get that exposure.
Yeah, and Frederick, here in the U.S., the Genius Act passed in July, which was a big win for stablecoin supporters. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the regulatory landscape here in the U.S.?
I think what really happens in the US was that you took like a 10-year leap ahead, which is extremely positive. So in Europe, we worked very hard to get the MiCA Act over the fence line, right, which was good policy work, but it didn't really create the security and the incentive structure which the European Union was looking for. But what you actually did in the US now is you created clarity for what you can do and what you can't do. And that basically means that you're going to see a lot more innovation staying in the US, and you're going to see specifically around stable coins, you're going to see more innovation happening there. It is still a little bit restrictive in terms of, let's say, new features to stable coins, but in general, this is very good for GDP and job creation.
Yeah, now that we've covered the U.S., I do want to shift our focus on what's happening outside of the country. So how's the Cardano Foundation working on keeping Cardano resilient across different jurisdictions?
So as I just alluded to, we work closely with the European Parliament, and we work closely with supervisors, regulators, and policymakers around the world to ensure that people understand that blockchain is not just financial innovation, but is industrial innovation across multiple different verticals. So from farmers and tracking their goods under ISO certificates and labor certificates, all the way to space shuttles and cancer medicine, planting trees. Blockchain is really there as a back-end infrastructure who secures that people can work together without necessarily 100% trusting each other. And that makes things better, faster, cheaper, but it does require a solid digital identity in plural, and that's what we really provide from the Cardano Foundation.
And finally, Frederick, before I let you go, earlier you mentioned DATs, which are digital asset treasuries, and especially on the heels of that crypto flash crash that we saw earlier this month, what do you make of DATs and the role of altcoins?
Well, I think it's going to be quite natural that we're going to see some DATs emerging across the traditional altcoin space. I think it's really market dependent when it makes sense or not. So if there is some external factors such as a
Well, it does appear as though we are having some technical difficulties here, so we will leave the interview there. Well, here at the New York Stock Exchange this morning, ringing the opening bell is Noah Holdings Limited to celebrate its 15th anniversary of listing. Now, Noah Holdings Limited is a wealth management firm that is serving high net worth Chinese investors globally. The firm does provide one-stop global investment as well as asset allocation services. Its shares trade on the New York Stock Exchange under ticker symbol NOAH and on the Hong Kong Exchange. Well, this morning here at the New York Stock Exchange, King Pan.
Don't go anywhere. Market Movers the opening bell. We'll be right back.
So first and foremost, tell us how
Good morning.
inflation
My
and
pleasure.
currency devaluation is pushing emerging global markets towards stablecoins.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, I was listening to your previous segment as well, and you were talking about emerging market users and stablecoins there as well. But the trend is very clear. A lot of people in emerging markets are suffering on a daily basis when it comes to inflation, when it comes to devaluation, and stablecoins are a very easy way for them to be able to save their funds to kind of push back against their kind of the issues that they face on a daily basis. So we see a lot of interest in stablecoins in the markets that we're in, and the second order effect of that then is the ability to make payments very quickly, the ability to send funds cross border very quickly as well, which we're helping to facilitate with our company.
And of course, for viewers out there who may not be as familiar, tell us about the Islamic finance market and how banks are taking part in it globally.
So look, the Islamic finance industry is an evolving industry. There are a number of different factors there that make it Islamic. We believe that Islamic finance should be treated not as a particular niche, but actually as a blueprint for how finance should work in the digital age. Um, the real principle that Islamic finance espouses, and what we like to do, and partly why we're called Facet, is because everything needs to be asset backed. There needs to be real tangible value, rather than kind of the unfortunate reality of crypto as it exists today with meme coins and leverage and kind of a removal from the actual real world and real utility. So I think this this kind of convergence for democratization of access to assets, and the ability for people to get included into the financial ecosystem, it rings very true with what Islamic finance is. And that's kind of the intersection between where our company plays between crypto and real world assets, between the kind of traditional financial system and the Islamic financial system to create sustainable wealth for people across the world.
And Daniel, building on what you just said, the Middle East received about $338.7 billion in crypto investments, making it the seventh largest crypto economy in the world. So tell us how the Middle East, especially Dubai, is positioning itself as a leading digital finance hub with growing crypto inflows, and also in terms of advances in tokenization as well as stablecoin powered banking.
Absolutely. Look, there are a number of different jurisdictions globally that are really trying to be the de facto capital of digital assets and cryptocurrency. I think Dubai vies itself as one of those contenders. And I think the fact that there's a real push and pull between innovation and regulation that is happening constantly. We've been at roundtables all week this week with the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority here in the UAE, helping them understand kind of what's coming up with stablecoins, what's coming up with tokenization. That kind of interaction with the regulator is incredibly important. And I think the UAE is really positioning itself to be that kind of world-leading champion for digital assets from a policy perspective, and helping kind of participants experiment locally. So one of those experiments that are happening in real time right now is when it comes to tokenization of real estate in Dubai in particular, with the Dubai Land Department. There's a lot of work going on there to establish real on-chain tokenization of real estate. And that kind of activity doesn't just happen unless there's a real willingness from the regulator to create an ecosystem for people to come in and experiment and try to push the boundaries, and ultimately bring the world on chain, right? We believe that everything will be tokenized at one point, including real estate. And that's kind of how Dubai is positioning itself for that.
Well, Daniel, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and your perspective.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye.
Hello, I'm Remy Blair from FinTech TV, here at our studios on the floor of the iconic New York Stock Exchange. The world's financial leaders will gather in Abu Dhabi for Abu Dhabi Finance Week 2025. From From investment and innovation to global capital flows, it's where the future of finance takes shape. Join us on this journey. See you in Abu Dhabi at ADFW.
Don't go anywhere. Market Movers, the opening bell. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Market Movers, the opening bell. It's day 2 of Hub 71's Impact Event 2025 live in Abu Dhabi. Let's take a look at what's happening over there on the ground. Well, FinTech TV CEO and founder Vince Molinari is live in the UAE. Hi, Vince. Thank you so much for joining us from this year's gathering. Tell us all about what's going on day 2.
Hey, Remy. So great to be back with you again from the ball pit at Hub 71 Impact Event 2025. And today was really terrific. I had the honor of sitting down for a one-on-one with Ahmed Ali Alwan, who's the CEO of Hub 71, and we covered a lot of ground. But great takeaway when he started to talk about community as the new capital is so profound, and really that off-balance sheet benefit of community and how that becomes tangible. And really a great move by Hub 71, moving into life sciences as a new vertical. So that and so much more. Take a look at this interview. I think you're all going to really enjoy it.
Hi, I'd like to welcome a good friend, Ahmed Ali Alwan, who is the CEO of Hub 71. Ahmed, so great to see you. A little bit of role reversal. We just were able to host you at the New York Stock Exchange on FinTech TV just a couple of weeks ago, and now you're graciously hosting us here at Hub 71. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being with us, Vince.
Well, it's our honor and privilege, and I want to jump right in. There is so much energy here. Hub 71, Impact 2025, all that's happening, the vibe that's coming out of the community that you created. Maybe just kick us off for a minute for our viewers who haven't heard about what you're doing and give us a little bit of framework of Hub 71.
we're so excited to celebrate a community of founders, partners, and different individuals, all who had an important role to play in Hub 71's journey. We are an initiative that started in 2019, aimed to enable the tech ecosystem out of Abu Dhabi. We have different programs and initiatives that support startups across the journey. Our ultimate mission is to create an environment where these companies can grow and contribute to Abu Dhabi's non-oil GDP, but we're really focused on the earlier stage of the journey. For me, innovation and VC is synonymous with impact because these are companies that solve the real human problems through technology. So it's always fulfilling to be part of this story, and ultimately also fulfilling to see these companies grow and contribute to the fabric of the economy in Abu Dhabi. So fast forward today, we have a community of more than, or about 400 startups, more than 150 partners, all that have supported our mission, our journey. And it's great to see the level of attendance that we have at this impact event.
Well, it speaks volumes to walking the walk and talking the talk. I think year of community was a bit of the theme that I heard about. And it's really the essence where I believe it's maybe 60 countries are represented within the companies of Hub 71.
And in Abu Dhabi, there's more than 200 nationalities represented. But yes, our founders also, let's say, capture some of that, where we have more than 60 nationalities represented. And I'd say, yes, it's the year of community. We're saying in this event that community is the new capital because it's been such an intangible asset for us at Hub 71. And it's very important for us as we continue to grow and thrive, because these are founders, these are people with a shared mission, a shared struggle. They come here, set up in Abu Dhabi, and we work with them to build this community, nurture it, and continue to grow it. And I think one of the things I started realizing is the power of diversity. We have such a diverse community from sectors, from different ethnicities, all who have chose to make Abu Dhabi home for their technology and innovation. And I hope you get to see it here in this event. Yani, it's such a wide, diverse set of people, but all who are bound by a shared vision and mission.
Well, it speaks volumes again, and seeing it, hearing it, some of the presentations from the startups today. And I want to pull on that thread a little bit of community as the new capital, because that seemed to be the essence of so much of what I heard today. And it is the diversity, the mosaic of what you've been weaving. And I think that comes through that. It feels like that less intangibles than becoming tangibles as you move across community as capital. And people are valuing the wisdom of the crowd and really what you've created here.
Definitely. When I come, and it just comes from the founders themselves. I asked them, it's like, what's really I know it's interesting to say, but I get surprised by them. It's like, we love Hub 71, we love what you guys are doing. And I asked them, it's like, and my first question is like, why? Why do you like what we said? It's like, listen, one, you are such an attentive organization. We are a community or initiative that is proud to have been doing things for founders. So we listen to the founders intently, and that resonates with the people. And when you do that, you just attract the people from different parts of the world. And it has become, as you rightly mentioned, it has become such a fundamental asset to how we are growing, and we're excited to keep honing it.
Ahmed, if I could squeeze in one more question. During the MOU signings yesterday, I was so impressed and intrigued. I believe it's Hub 71 Plus, and you're moving into life sciences. Can you share a bit about that?
Thank you so much for that question. So, I'd say that most tech hubs, how they operate is to facilitate engagement between a network of startups and a network of partners, and ensure that there's success between these. This is what I'd say the tech hubs, even though they have different forms, but this is their essence. Through Hub 71, what we thought is imperative is not only do that usual role of tech hubs of connecting, startups with investors, corporates, etc., but to develop deep technology value propositions in certain select verticals. We've done this with digital assets, with working with the Abu Dhabi Global Market, the regulator here, with the first Abu Dhabi Bank. We've done this with climate tech, with great partners such as the UICCA, and others who are very much vested into or invested in working into climate tech. And we've done this with AI. We launched it at the last Abu Dhabi Finance Week, where we got great partners such as Core 42, such as HPE, AWS, Google for Startups. A number of them all came in with us. And now with this, more recently working with the investors like Beko. And we were doing the same with the life sciences. Hub 71 Plus Life Sciences is a concentrated initiative for us to develop a clear value proposition for any startup looking to work in the health tech, biotech, life sciences space, wanting to build their business out of here, tapping into a great Abu Dhabi value proposition from the Department of Health, but also a UAE proposition from the Emirates drug establishment, but also building on the success of the Abu Dhabi Investments Office launch of their Helm cluster, which focuses on health, endurance, longevity, and medicine. So when we have all of these great initiatives around what we do, what we come in and say, well, let us tap into what makes sense for startups, where innovation. Let us bring in the right companies that would support your missions, develop a program and initiative to soft land these companies. This is what Hub 71 Life Sciences is, and we're very excited to work with our partners on this going forward.
Ahmed, congratulations to you, the Hub 71 team. The leadership continues. Always a pleasure to chat with you. So much, thank you.
Welcome back to Market Movers, the opening bell. Let's take a final look at Hub 71 Impact Event 2025 taking place in Abu Dhabi. FinTech TV's CEO and founder Vince Molinari is back with another update from the gathering. So Vince, welcome back. Thank you again for joining us from Abu Dhabi. Tell us what's going on the ground.
Oh, thanks, Remy. You know, the momentum and the great interviews continue. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Basma Al-Badi Al-Dahari, who is the head of value creation for Hub 71. And we really ran the gamut. You know, anything that starts out with an interview with somebody who's the head of value creation, there's so much wisdom and insight in that. We talked about everything from unlocking value in Abu Dhabi, global capital needs and meeting innovation, and really then the strategic advantages of Abu Dhabi, and that transcends everything from community to artificial intelligence and all the innovation that's coming out of Hub 71. You have to watch this one too, Remy. I think you're going to find a lot that's of interest to you.
I'm joined today by Basma Al-Badi Al-Dahari, who is the head of value creation here at Hub 71. Basma, so delighted to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure meeting you and a pleasure being here.
Well, and being here in your home,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
a real privilege for us, wanted to touch base and kind of kick off with the title of Head of Value Creation. It brings so many things to mind. I want to talk a bit about how do you unlock the value that's here within Abu Dhabi?
So as a head of value creation, I overlook in unlocking the ecosystem players across four main pillars, which are access to market, so working with different corporate partners to enable pilot opportunities and contract deals, access to capital, so overseeing support in terms of unlocking value from capital partners in terms of investment across the stages that the startups face, and then access to government, so unlocking with new innovation, you need to unlock new policies, new regulations, and being close to those regulators enables us to unlock that value. And then the fourth and last pillar is access to talent. So everyone's looking for new talent, everyone's looking for that access, and we do have great universities here with graduating a lot of new talent that are available for our startups to access that support.
Well, one of the things that was so impressive for me, seeing in action, not only within Abu Dhabi, but Hub 71 specifically, the resources, the talent, and those are off balance sheet and on balance sheet resources as we learn more and more. When you look at global capital and connecting that with innovation, it seems that's core mantra to Hub 71.
Yes. So yeah, in terms of as they always say, Abu Dhabi is the capital of capital. So we try to unlock that support through our capital partners that we have, with the support that ADGM and the ecosystem players that we have that supports us in bringing in the right investors to support global investors into the UAE and unlocking that capital into our startups. So as we have in the Hub 71 impact event, like today, we have our fundraising roadshow that enables us to get those investors to unlock that capital support in that.
And that was quite clear in a lot of the presentations that we were fortunate to watch today. So we talked about a lot of the strategic advantages that are here in Abu Dhabi. Many of the initiatives that you put forth, and going back to last year with so much of a focus on AI, a lot of announcements around new partnerships in the last day or two. Could you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, so we did, and during Abu Dhabi Finance Week last year, we launched the program itself as in Hub 71 plus AI, where we looked at the value proposition that Abu Dhabi can offer, where we partnered up with Core 42 and AI 71 as being the unlocking that compute power, the credits that are being offered in that sense. This year, as an expansion of that Hub 71 plus AI vertical, we onboarded a total of 24 partners where we had the Advanced Technology Research Council, ATRC, joining us as an anchor partner, unlocking that compute power research, advanced research, applied research within AI, and AI experts that are being supported within for our community of startups. Another anchor partner is Beko Capital, another investor that has been heavily working with us within our community, having a commitment of up to 1.8 million dirhams as a commitment for per AI startups that meets their criteria in that sense.
Outstanding. Well, one of the things as we close out that really caught my attention yesterday was the move to life sciences.
Yeah.
And wow, very fertile ground it seems.
Yeah, it is, and especially with the region is growing to over 400 billion dirhams and $400 billion in terms of the market growth in that field. I think in terms of the life sciences, globally, what positions Abu Dhabi differently is the fact that the regulators are working very closely with innovators and enabling that value to be unlocked for our startups, and within that specific vertical, that support from DOH, Emirates Drug Establishment, and having the economic government in terms of focusing it on an economic strategy for the future, that enables Abu Dhabi being positioned as a health innovation hub for all health tech startups and life sciences. And that's
incredibly exciting, Basma. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing all the insights.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Pleasure.
So that is a wrap for us from Hub 71 Impact Event 2025. Can't wait for next year. Absolutely amazing to see the energy all the innovation, the growth that's coming out of Hub 71 and how they continue to scale and elevate Hub 71 throughout Abu Dhabi and beyond. However, we are coming up rapidly to Abu Dhabi Finance Week, ADFW 2025, December 8th through the 11th. We'll be here, and much more to come from FinTech TV in the UAE. Be back to you again soon.
Joining us all the way from Abu Dhabi, and coming up, a final look ahead when Market Movers comes right back. Thank you so much for watching Market Movers. Have a great day.